Hey there, Saints. Pastor Dave here with another weekly devotion for you. Who knows what day it is when you'll actually see this, but hope you're doing well. And I want to start with a quick reading from Coffee with God by Sarah Arthur. This is a follow-up from last week's devotional about suffering. Often we are embarrassed, uncomfortable, or downright fearful of spending time with someone who clearly needs help. We'd rather not visit the hospital. We really don't like hanging out with dying people. We avoid the sick, the lonely, the broken, the oppressed. I'm one of the worst culprits in this department. I'm terrified that I won't be able to help them, or I'll say something stupid, or I'll fail them utterly. So we find ourselves avoiding those who are suffering because we think we can't help them or because their vulnerability makes us uncomfortable. The fact is, we should be seeking them out for a blessing because they have experienced God in ways the healthy, vibrant, robust, and just plain lucky have not. The truth is, God meets people in their suffering, which means that the ones among us who have seen God, who are closest to God, aren't the ones who seem to have it all together, but the ones who daily battle pain and battle it graciously. Our Christian brothers and sisters who know what loss and tragedy are. Those who have suffered well have learned wisdom. They have seen the face of God. So if we want to be blessed by those who are close to Him, we should seek out the elderly widows in our churches and say, please, please, you who have spoken face to face with God, I beg you to pray for me. And what better person to ask than one who, like Job, even in the midst of tremendous pain and loss, can say, but as for me, I know that my Redeemer lives, and He will stand upon the earth at last. That's the person I want to bless me. That's the one I want to learn from. When you think about Job, the suffering one, and his friends who seem to have it all together, you think on a certain level, his friends are to be commended. They didn't avoid him. Instead, they came and sat with him and shared in his grief. The problem was they attempted to help by philosophizing about why he was suffering in the first place. But all the same, they didn't abandon him. They stuck around long enough to be a nuisance, sure, but they also stuck around long enough to be blessed. Are you sticking it out with your hurting friends long enough to experience a blessing? Or are you so busy trying to help them that you miss those moments when they want to pray for you? Saints, I know, again, suffering is not an easy subject for us, as I said last week. It's something that makes us uncomfortable. It's something we don't always know how to respond to or deal with. When someone around us is hurting, sometimes the easiest thing for us is to just not be around them. I know that that is a temptation that we all feel, is to look away and turn away and find somewhere else to be. Because when we get close to suffering, we feel, and I think rightly so, like we should be able to do something about it. Like we have to have the right words, or we have to know the right course of action in order to alleviate the suffering and make it better. And the fact is, we don't always have that. We don't always have the capacity to do anything about the suffering that's around us, other than to be present, to engage with it, to make sure that the person who is hurting knows that we're there and we care. Sometimes that's all we can offer. And that is a good thing. That is in itself a blessing. What Sarah is pointing out here is that there's another side to blessing. That when we suffer, we tend to get closer to God. When we go through hard things, if we endure them and do so with a good attitude, with a gracious attitude, it actually does tend to bring us closer to God. So people who have suffered know God better than people who have not. Because when we suffer, God comes close to us. That's why last week we came to the conclusion that it's important to be where the suffering is, because that's where God is. If we want to be close to God, we have to be willing to go where the suffering is. And this week, if we get close to God and to those who have suffered, it's possible we will learn something in the process that will bless us as we've been trying to bless and care for someone else. Isn't that a gift? You know, saints, I see this happen over and over on mission trips. When we go somewhere else to serve people who are in need, usually the conditions for those trips are less than comfortable. It's not a 5-star hotel experience. But when we sleep in uncomfortable beds, when we eat kind of monotonous food, when we work long hours and we push our bodies and we do things that are, in a way, suffering, time and time again, I see people have moments of real epiphany and of real connection with God and joy for the service that they get to do. Why do you think that is? Saints, that's your devotion this week. I hope it's helpful and worth thinking about for you. I hope you are doing well, staying healthy, and I'll be praying for you. Please keep praying for me. I will see you all again soon. Take care.